How did you know who he was gonna pick?
We told him to. We've been telling him all day.
From the moment he left his hotel room, we've been priming him, programming his subconscious. He's been seeing the number 55 all day long. On the elevator, in the lobby, even the stick pin on the doormat. Not only that, we loaded his route from the hotel to the stadium. He looks out the window, primers are everywhere. Now he doesn't see it, but he does. There's no getting around it. He even sees Farhad. Suggestions are everywhere, from the number of flowers in a vase to the tramp stamp on the hooker we sent to his room last night.
That is genius.
Yeah, and it's not only what he sees, it's what he hears. The Mandarin word for 5 is woo. There are 124 woo-woos in sympathy for the devil. Now he's not registering it, but it's all there. So when he picks up those binoculars, looks out on the field, sees a familiar face with the number 55 on his jersey, some little voice in the back of his mind says, that's it. And he thinks it's intuition, and he picks.
Boom! Caution, this optical illusion creates natural priming.
Marketing is everywhere. Perception is everything.
Psychology,
Sociology,
philosophy,
anthropology,
it's what we do.
it's how we think
As marketers, we must understand these concepts.
and use them to our advantage.
We must get inside the mind of the consumer.
We must understand the behavior of the buyer.
Perception is a marketer's best friend. Since every person has their own perspective, there is no reality.
The senses can be tricked, worn down, manipulated. Perceptions can be molded over time or altered in an instant. Sometimes, even when we know something to be empirically true, we still cannot accurately perceive it.
There are many real-life implications for these varying perceptions. There are many marketing implications as well. Wow, I'm sweaty. Perceptions are often wrong or just arbitrary. This can lead to useless, unreliable information in any daily activity, as Brian will discuss later. A common issue with standard surveys is that there are design flaws which can influence the results. Some of these flaws could include the wording of the question, the order of the choices, or the frequency options presented.
One such survey was conducted by Norbert Schwartz, where they tested the effects of the range of response categories provided in a closed answer format. Respondents reported their daily TV watching along a low-frequency scale on the left that ranged from less than a half hour to more than 2.5 hours, or a high-frequency scale like the one on the right, which ranged from less than 2.5 hours to more than 4.5 hours. The most telling result was that with a high-frequency scale, 37.5% of respondents reported watching greater than 2.5 hours of television, when it wasn't so bad because that was the lowest option. But on the low-frequency scale, only 16.2% of respondents admitted to watching more than 2.5 hours of TV in a day. Once you understand how people can be greatly affected by the method in which questions or ideas are presented to them, it is important to discuss how these people make the decisions that are crucial to their lives. The Fishbein model attempted to determine the ultimate decision-making process. By clearly defining which attributes are meaningful to an individual and how important they are in respect to each other, humans have become immune to second-guessing. However, humans remain human, and that fact provides many complications. We simply are unable to specify every attribute and belief that will have an impact on our decisions, and we cannot quantify feelings without relevant data to fall back on. This leads us to anchoring.
Component.
In anchoring, we see how individuals tend to make judgments which lead to their opinions. In order to accomplish this, we need a starting point to establish a base. The trouble is that the starting points are almost always completely arbitrary because there is no relative base to complete this data. We see here an experiment by Gregory Northcraft and Margaret Neal how much a manipulated anchor can modify an expected adjustment. In this study that used experts interference, real estate brokers were asked to give their suggested price for a given house. The experiment played with the listing price, effectively manipulating the anchor, which, as you can see, greatly influenced the response of the agents.
So, in what ways can marketers take advantage of all this information? In an example from The Economist, in a study conducted by Dan Ariely, he showed how we, as marketers, can create a placebo anchor which would entice customers to purchase the option which is more profitable to the producer.
I took this and I gave it to 100 MIT students. I said, what would you choose? And these are the market share. Most people wanted the combo deal. Thankfully, nobody wanted the dominated options. It means our students can read. But now, if you have an option that nobody wants, you would take it off, right? So I printed another version of this when I eliminated the middle option, and I gave it to another 100 students. Here's what happens. Now the most popular option became the least popular, and the least popular became the most popular. What was happening is that option that was useless in the middle was useless in the sense that nobody wanted it. But it wasn't useless in the sense that it helped people figure out what they wanted.
And now, Brian Regan to take us home.
Nurse finally comes in. How are you doing tonight? I'm on a gurney. You have a painkiller or something? This is killing me. So she goes, how would you describe your pain? It's killing me. I don't know if you remember that part. Ouch. What are we playing, that pyramid game? Excruciating. Horrific. Would rather have shards of glass in my eyes. How do I convey this to you? So she asks, how would you rate your pain? 4 stars. 2 enthusiastic thumbs up. She goes, how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the worst? Well, you know, saying a low number isn't going to help you. Oh, I'm a 2. Maybe the high 1s. And you could get me a baby aspirin and cut it in half. And maybe a Flintstone vitamin and I'll be out of your hair. You can go 10 to all the 3s and 4s and such. If anyone's saying such ridiculous numbers. I couldn't bring myself to say 10, though, because I had heard the worst pain a human can endure is getting the femur bone cracked in half. And I don't know if that's true, but I thought if it is, they have exclusive rights to 10. And now I'm thinking, what was I worried about? Is there like a femur ward at the hospital? They would have heard about me and hobble into my room. Who the hell had the audacity to say he was at a level 10? You know nothing about 10. Give me a sledgehammer. Let me show you what 10 is all about, Mr. Tommy A. No! 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 How can I possibly say 10? I can't. So I thought I'll say 9. And then I thought, no, childbirth. I better not try to compete with that. And then I'm thinking, you know, it must be hell giving childbirth when your femur bone's cracked. So I said, I guess I'm an 8. She goes, oh, okay, I'll be back. I'm like, oh, I blew it, man. I ain't getting nothing with 8. But she surprised me. She comes in, she goes, the doctor told me to give you morphine immediately. And I'm like, morphine? That's what they gave the guy in Saving Private Ryan right before he died. Like, okay, I'm a 4. I'm a 0. I'm a negative 11-teen. Morphine. So they gave me morphine. Wow. All I know is about 15 minutes later, just for the hell of it, I was like, I'm an 8 again. Guess who's an 8? And they finally checked me out. I'm walking down the hall going, say 8, say 8, say 8, say 8. Happy 8 day. Did you get some 8? Did you get